If you're in tech these days, you are probably drowning in AI acronyms, right? And one of the most confusing has got to be AIOps. What even is it? Is it just another buzzword some marketing team came up with? Or is it just, using AI to write code? Well, the answer is a big no to both. So, in the next few minutes, we're going to cut through all that noise. We'll show you what AIOps really is, the specific problem it was born to solve, and how it's basically becoming a crystal ball for our entire digital world. So here's the plan. First, we're going to bust some common myths right off the bat. Then, we'll get into the old way of doing things, the reactive world, and contrast it with this new predictive approach. After that, we'll dive into how AIOps actually works, see what it looks like in the real world, and then we'll wrap up by looking ahead to a pretty wild future of self-healing systems.
Okay, let's dive right in. So what is AIOps really? I mean, once you strip away all the marketing jargon and the buzzwords, what are we actually talking about?
It's kind of funny, but sometimes the best way to figure out what something is to first get really clear on what it isn't. And right now, the biggest point of confusion, hands down, comes from the world of generative AI. And this really shows the fundamental split. So on one side, you've got what we call AI-assisted DevOps. Think of things like AI code assistants. Their whole job is to help humans create stuff faster, write more code, build more scripts. The goal is all about developer productivity. But AIOps, on the other side, is a totally different beast. It doesn't create anything. Instead, it analyzes that nonstop flood of data that your systems are already producing, all to keep them running smoothly. Here, the goal is reliability. To put it really simply, one helps you build the car, the other one tells you the engine is going to fail next week.
And that focus on reliability? Well, that brings us straight to the core problem that AIOps was invented to solve in the first place. This idea of moving away from a constant state of firefighting in our IT systems.
You see, for years, the gold standard for running systems has been something called observability. And don't get me wrong, it's a super powerful and absolutely essential practice. It lets us peek inside our complex systems to understand what's going on by looking at their outputs. But, and this is the big but, at its heart, it is a reactive tool. It's great at telling you about things that are happening right now, or things that just happened a minute ago.
I mean, think about this classic scenario. We've all seen it. A system's memory usage suddenly spikes to 80%. That triggers an alert, which pings some poor engineer on Slack or PagerDuty. That engineer then has to drop whatever they're doing, log in, and start digging around to figure out what's wrong. But here's the kicker. By the time all of that happens, the system is already struggling. Your users, they might already be seeing errors or slow load times.
And that is the key takeaway right there. An alert isn't a warning sign of a future problem. It's a notification that you have a current problem. You're not preventing a fire, you're just getting a page telling you the house is already burning. Okay, so this is where AIOps comes in and completely flips the script. It takes all of that rich data from observability, and it adds a predictive intelligence layer right on top. The whole goal is to forecast and prevent issues before they even trigger an alert, and way before they impact a single user. It's that fundamental shift from reacting to predicting.
So that all sounds great, but how? How does it actually do that? How in the world do you turn this giant sea of data into a functional crystal ball?
I mean, it sounds a bit like magic, doesn't it? The idea of predicting that a server is going to run out of memory 10 days from now. But the logic behind it, it's actually something you're already familiar with, and you probably use it every single day.
Just think about a weather forecast. How does that work? Well, it feeds massive amounts of historical climate data, temperature, pressure, all that stuff, into AI models. Those models find patterns, and then they predict next week's weather. AIOps is the exact same concept, just for your IT systems. It takes historical operational data, things like memory usage and CPU load over time, and it uses the same kind of traditional AI models to find the patterns. And then it can predict something like, hey, this service's memory is on a track to hit 90% in 10 days. So yeah, it's not magic, it's just really, really good pattern recognition at a massive scale.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Can't I just look at the graphs myself? And sure, you absolutely could, for maybe a handful of metrics. But here's the thing. Modern, large-scale systems can easily have over 10,000 different metrics to monitor. There is no way a human or even a whole team of humans can stare at all of that and spot the super subtle, long-term trends that are whispering, hey, trouble's coming. That's where you absolutely need the machine.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like? In a real tool that an engineer would actually use day to day. Let's check out a couple of real-world examples.
So what we're looking at here is a dashboard from a platform called Dynatrace. It's tracking past e-commerce order volumes. You can see the actual data for March 18th, 19th, and 20th right there. Now, based on all that history, its AI model has crunched the numbers, found the patterns, and is now forecasting a pretty big spike in orders coming up on March 25th. This is huge because it gives the operations team a heads up days in advance to get their systems ready for that extra load.
Okay, so forecasting trends is one superpower. But the other superpower of AIOps is spotting anomalies. And anomalies are basically just the weird, unexpected blips in your data, the strange behaviors that stray from the normal pattern. And these are often the very first signs of a major failure that's about to happen.
Check this out. Here's another example, this time from a platform called ManageEngine. It's monitoring page load times, and it spots this huge surge, way past what's normal. But here's the really critical part. It didn't just spot the spike, it also identified a pattern. It noticed that this surge happens every single day between midnight and 10 a.m. Now that's the kind of subtle, recurring problem that a human looking at dashboards can easily miss. But for an AI, that's a blinking red light that something is definitely wrong.
So it's pretty clear that AIOps is incredibly powerful at predicting problems. But believe it or not, the story doesn't end there. The next big evolution is all about closing the loop between predicting a problem and actually doing something about it.
Right now, the flow is pretty straightforward. The AI predicts a problem and it sends an alert to a human, telling them to fix it. That's the world we live in today. But the future? Well, that's where things get really interesting. This is where we start to combine the predictive power of AIOps with the action-taking ability of these new AI agents. So in this future world, the system predicts a problem, but instead of paging a tired engineer at 3 in the morning, it just tells another AI to go and fix it automatically. We're talking about things like scaling a service, restarting a misbehaving pod, all done without a human having to lift a finger.
And that really leaves us with this one final powerful thought. You know, AIOps started as a clever way to just get ahead of alerts, but its ultimate promise is something way more transformative than that. It's not just about seeing the future, it's about actively changing it. So what if we could build systems that don't just warn us they're about to break, but instead they just fix themselves? That's the incredible future that AIOps is building toward.